You have been waiting for the call, for the recognition, for the moment they finally see what you are worth. And while you waited, they moved, they decided, they took. Every time you expected the best from someone, they delivered exactly what they intended to, not what you hoped for. Your expectations were not naive, they were weaponized against you. Because a man with expectations is a man with a pressure point, and pressure points get pressed. They knew what you wanted. They knew you needed them to deliver it, so they never did, and watched you break yourself trying to earn it. This is not about becoming cold. This is about becoming unreachable. Schopenhauer discovered the formula 2 centuries ago. A man who expects nothing cannot be manipulated. Full stop. Not because he feels nothing, but because he needs nothing from you. And a man who needs nothing from you has nothing you can take. What you're about to learn will feel like losing something. It is. You're losing the version of you that could be controlled. Stay with me. This is the last time anyone will be able to use hope against you. Since you were a child, you were taught that expecting good things attracts good things. The law of attraction, the power of positive thinking, manifest your destiny. You were fed this because it made you easier to manage. A man who believes the universe will reward his goodness is a man who will tolerate being wronged because he expects it to balance out. They wronged you, and you stayed because you expected them to see it and correct it. They saw it. They just saw something different than you did. They saw that you expected fairness, so they kept the unfairness just below the level that would make you leave. This is not cruelty for its own sake. This is resource management. You were a resource. Your expectations were the terms of your contract. And every time you expected more, they adjusted, gave you just enough to reset your expectation, then extracted again. Your hope was not weakness, it was humanity. But humanity without armor is just exposure. The workplaces, the friendships, the relationships, every single one had someone who learned your expectations and used them as a map to your weak points. You're not paranoid for seeing this. You're late, and late is still better than never. The question is not whether this happened to you. It did. The question is what you build from this moment forward, now that you can see it. Schopenhauer watched the same pattern in 19th century Europe. Salons, universities, social circles, different clothes, identical mechanisms. He saw that suffering was not accidental, it was structural, built into the way human desire and human society interact. And he offered not false comfort, but a brutal, liberating alternative. Expect nothing, owe nothing, need nothing. Become unreachable. This is not nihilism. This is not giving up. This is the most radical act of self-ownership a man can perform. When you stop expecting, you stop being steerable, and an unsteerable man is a free man. Now, meet the man who proved it. Arthur Schopenhauer did not discover pessimism. He systematized it. He took the uncomfortable truth that everyone felt and no one said and built a philosophy from it. His mother was a celebrated novelist. She threw him out. His academic rivals mocked him. He responded by outliving all of them in influence, if not in years. He kept a poodle for companionship and named it Atma, the Sanskrit word for world soul. He trusted the dog more than he trusted any person. He was not bitter. Bitter men want things and cannot have them. Schopenhauer decided he wanted as little as possible and found that decision gave him everything. He walked Frankfurt streets alone every day. He observed. He thought. He needed no approval to think what he thought. He understood something that took the rest of philosophy centuries to catch up to, that the self that does the wanting is the self that suffers. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Arthur Schopenhauer.
You did not choose your desires, they arrived. And the people around you, they've been feeding those desires, directing those desires, and harvesting what those desires make you do. You did not choose to want their approval. You did not choose to need their recognition. But now that you see it, you can choose what to do with it. That is the gift buried inside Schopenhauer's darkest idea. Awareness of the mechanism is the beginning of freedom from it. He did not promise you happiness. He promised you something rarer, clarity. And clarity, in a world built on manufactured expectation, is the most dangerous thing you can possess. Now, 6 lessons. Each one removes something they were using against you.
Lesson 1. Every expectation you hold is a leash someone else is holding. An expectation is not just a hope, it is a dependency. It says, I need this outcome to feel okay, and whoever controls that outcome controls you. Think about your last negotiation, your last difficult conversation. Did you go in needing a specific outcome? Then you were already defeated before it began. The person who needs nothing from the conversation owns the conversation, every time, without exception. The psychology. When you expect nothing, you observe everything. Because you are not scanning for the outcome you need, you are seeing what is actually happening. Practical move. Before every important interaction, ask yourself what you are hoping to get from it. Then decide consciously whether to need it or simply prefer it. Need is a leash. Preference is a choice. This knowledge is for protection, not destruction. You are not learning to feel nothing. You are learning to feel without depending. If you have sat across from someone and felt them use your need against you, drop this in the comments. I prefer, I do not need. The man who needs nothing loses nothing in any conversation. He can walk away from any table. And the ability to walk away is the only true power in any negotiation. They cannot manipulate a man who has no pressure points, and expectations are pressure points. Remove the expectation, remove the handle. Schopenhauer lived this, walked away from academic approval, family approval, social approval, and what he built in the space that created outlasted everything he walked away from. Lesson 2. Manipulation has a formula, and your expectations are its only ingredient. Every manipulation, every single one, follows the same structure. Find what someone expects, control whether they get it, use that control to extract behavior. The manager who controls your promotion, the partner who controls their approval, the friend who controls their loyalty. Different faces, identical mechanism. You performed, you complied, you bent, because you expected that if you did, the thing they were holding would finally be released to you. Sometimes it was, just enough to reset the cycle, just enough to make you believe the next round of effort would finally close the gap. Schopenhauer's counter. When you expect nothing from a person, their ability to manipulate you collapses completely. There is nothing to withhold, no gap to close, no cycle to reset. The practical weapon? When you feel yourself performing for someone's approval, stop. Ask, what happens to me if this approval never comes? If the answer is nothing, you are already free. If you have finally seen the cycle for what it is, drop this in the comments. I see the mechanism, it no longer runs me. A man without expectations is a man without a negotiating weakness. He can engage fully and leave cleanly. No residue, no resentment, no debt. This is not distance, this is precision. You are choosing where to invest your expectation rather than scattering it at everyone who asks for your effort.
Expect from systems, expect from contracts, expect from evidence, never from people's character alone until their character has been demonstrated repeatedly under pressure. Lesson 3. Low expectations are not pessimism, they are precision. When you expect little, every positive outcome is a surplus. Every good thing someone does lands as a gift, not a payment on a debt they owe you. And when they fail, which they will, you are not devastated, you are simply updated. Your model of them becomes more accurate. No drama, just data. High expectations turn disappointment into devastation. Low expectations turn disappointment into information. One destroys you, one sharpens you. Schopenhauer was not broken by the world because he never gave the world the power to break him. He expected it to be exactly what it was. Practical move. When you enter any relationship, professional or personal, ask what this person has demonstrated, not what they have promised. Build your expectation from the former, ignore the latter entirely. Promises are intentions. Intentions are cheap. Actions under pressure are character, and character is the only thing worth expecting anything from. The man who expects only what evidence supports is never manipulated by a good story, and most manipulation is nothing more than a well-told story. You were not fooled because you were stupid. You were fooled because you expected people to be as honest as you were. That was a category error, and now you know better. That version of you was good. This version is good and precise. The precision does not cancel the goodness, it protects it. If you are finally ready to replace hope with evidence, drop this in the comments. I expect what you have shown me, nothing more.
Lesson 4. When you stop needing their response, their power over you ends. You have sent the message and watched the phone. You have waited for the reply that would tell you whether you were okay. You have refreshed, checked, waited. In that moment, you handed them something priceless, the ability to determine how you feel. And most of the time, they were not even thinking about you. This is the cruelest efficiency of expectation-based living. You suffer in real time for outcomes that others have not even considered yet. Schopenhauer's solution is surgical. Remove the need for their response, not the desire for it, the need. Preference is fine. Need is surrender. When you stop needing someone's response, you become genuinely curious about them for the first time because you are no longer scanning for the outcome you need. You are simply watching what is. That is paradoxical. Expecting nothing makes you more present, not less, because the anxiety of expectation is the thing that was pulling you out of the moment. Practical move. Next time you send something important, put the phone down and do not check it for 2 hours, then 4, then a day. Build the muscle of not needing the response to function. Each time you survive the wait without collapse, you grow. Each time you discover you were fine without the reply, you remember that you were always fine without it. A man who does not need your reply, does not need your approval, does not need your recognition, is a man who exists entirely on his own terms. That man cannot be manipulated, period. Schopenhauer waited decades for recognition. It arrived in his 70s. He said it changed nothing about his certainty. That is the freedom you are building toward. Lesson 5. See people as they are, not as you need them to be. Most of your suffering at the hands of other people came not from who they are, but from who you needed them to be. The gap between those two things, that is where you bled. You did not need them to be better people. You needed them to be the people you already decided they were. And when they showed you otherwise, you called it betrayal. Schopenhauer called it information. People show you who they are constantly. The problem is that you were taught to explain away the showing if it conflicted with your expectation. He was just tired.
She was going through something. They didn't mean it. You became an expert at translating their behavior into something you could keep expecting from. Stop translating. Start reading. The first version of what someone shows you before your mind edits it is almost always the most accurate one. Practical move. After any interaction that unsettles you, write down what happened before you explain it. Just the behavior, no interpretation. Then read it back. The truth is usually already there. When you see people as they are, you stop being disappointed by them, not because they improve, because your expectation finally matches reality. And reality, however uncomfortable, cannot hurt you the way a broken illusion can. The most dangerous thing you can give someone is a better version of themselves that only exists in your mind, because you will defend that version even against the evidence of the real one. Schopenhauer loved no illusions about human nature, and therefore no human had power over him through disappointment. He saw them, all of them, exactly as they were. If you are ready to stop seeing people as you need them to be, drop this in the comments. I see you clearly now, and I am free. Lesson 6. Build your life on what no one can take away because you never expected anyone to give it. Everything built on someone else's approval can be demolished by their withdrawal. Everything built on your own developed capacity cannot. Skills, knowledge, physical strength, the ability to think clearly under pressure, these are internal. They go where you go. They answer to no one. Every hour you spend developing something internal is an hour they can never reach. Your mind is the only territory that is truly yours. Schopenhauer built inward. His philosophy, his discipline, his daily walks, his writing, all of it internal development. They couldn't take his mother's warmth because he had stopped expecting it. They couldn't take academic approval because he had stopped needing it. Practical move. Identify the 3 things you are waiting for someone else to give you: recognition, permission, validation. Then decide to produce each one for yourself today. Tell yourself the truth about your work before anyone else gets to weigh in. Evaluate your progress against your own standard before checking it against anyone else's reaction. Give yourself the permission you have been waiting for years for someone else to extend. They were never going to give it. That was the lesson they were never going to teach you. The man who expects nothing from others expects everything from himself. That is not burden. That is the cleanest form of freedom that exists. Schopenhauer's final gift to you, a life built on nothing borrowed, cannot collapse when the borrowed things are taken back. Build that, starting now.
You came into this video expecting something. Maybe answers, maybe confirmation, maybe permission. And somewhere in the last 10 minutes, you stopped needing it. The old you is dead. The one who waited, who performed, who bent his shape to fit someone else's approval. He is gone, and you will not miss him. You are a weapon pointed at your own future, not at anyone who manipulated you, not at anyone who withheld approval. At everything you are going to build now that you have stopped waiting for permission to build it. You belong to no one, not to the employer who uses your hunger, not to the person who uses your hope, not to the crowd that uses your fear of exclusion. You belong to the work, to the life, to yourself. If something in you just shifted, drop this in the comments. I expect nothing. I owe nothing. I belong to no one. If this video reached something in you, you already know what it means. It means you were ready for it. This channel is for the man who is done being readable, done being steerable, done being the most available person in rooms full of people who were never available for him. Subscribe, but only if this is the kind of clarity you have decided your life requires.
Do not do it for me. Do it because you looked at what you have been waiting for and decided to stop waiting. Every video on this channel removes something that was being used against you. Schopenhauer was only the first. One last question, the one I want you to sit with tonight. What is the one expectation, the one you have held the longest, that if you released it completely right now, would make you the most free?